Welcome into Outkick the Show. My name is Clay Travis, and I am waiting on Facebook to catch up with the show. Come on, Facebook. Come on, Facebook. Catch up, Facebook. It is a big week in my life in the city of Nashville. I hope all of you are having fantastic, what's today? Wednesdays. I can barely keep up with what day of the week it is. We have got so many things going on and so much to discuss. Let me dive in, give you a little bit of a rundown here. I don't know when Facebook is actually going to pop up and allow us to hang out. But here's what we got going on. Damian Lillard with one of the all-time walk-off unbelievable shot moments in the history of the NBA. The NHL ended a shady way in the Las Vegas Golden Knights and San Jose Sharks series. Talk a little bit about that. Nick Bosa, New York Times article. How do opinions get manipulated unfairly? There is a big deal in Tennessee in my life with legalized sports gambling happening, and we are opening a new bar downtown. It is called the Downtown Sporting Club in Nashville, Tennessee, my hometown, on the Thursday of the NFL Draft. I went last night. It is fabulous. It is awesome. You definitely need to check it out if you are coming to Nashville or you have been to Nashville before. I think you're really going to like it. But we got several things to get to, as well as Twitter. How unrepresentative of the real world is Twitter? Pew Research just did a survey, and I love Twitter. I got a lot of stock. I love everything about the company in general. They've always been great to me, and I know some people disagree about that. But I am blown away by several of the details surrounding it from that study. But we start with Damian Lillard. And this was, I think, an iconic walk-off shot. This morning, after I did my radio show, I went downstairs, and my kids always like to see the scores, but they don't necessarily watch all the highlights immediately. And I said, you guys have to see this Damian Lillard shot. And I loved it. Because it may not be fair, may not be 100% accurate, but this series to me has been a sort of a referendum on Damian Lillard and on Russell Westbrook and their head-to-head rivalry against each other. And so what I think is intriguing about it is Russell Westbrook doesn't seem to recognize that being asked for his opinion every day by a large group of people who sit around to hear his opinion is actually a privilege, all right? And I think maybe that doesn't get talked about enough. I understand that the job that I have is a privilege. Now, I've worked hard to get it, but the reason why lots of people listen to my opinion every morning on radio or listen to my opinion on TV or listen to my opinion even on Facebook and Twitter as we are talking right now is a privilege, right? I get the opportunity to share my opinion with you. You don't have to agree with it. You can disagree with it completely. You can think I'm an idiot, right? You don't have to agree with me at all. But the fact that lots of people want to hear my opinion is a privilege. And I'm not sure that normal people, and i.e. athletes, really understand how fortunate they are in this day and age when there is constant opinion everywhere to have reporters showing up as stenographers and asking their opinion on things. And why is that important? Because if you handle the media well, and I saw a video the other day of Blake Griffin finishing his season with the Detroit Pistons and walking around and shaking the hand of every media member, right? Not a big deal. Not a big deal. Doesn't get a ton of attention because it's the opposite of Russell Westbrook. But treating people in a somewhat decent fashion as an athlete is all you have to do, or a coach, to get benefit of the doubt coverage. Now, I don't mean if you stink that people aren't going to say you stink, but if you are a decent human being as an athlete, most of the people who are covering you are predisposed to actually like you, right? And so when I saw Blake Griffin walking around and shaking the hand of every media member who covered him with the Detroit Pistons, I was immediately brought to mind how Russell Westbrook has responded by saying next question every time all throughout the playoffs. And what he is really missing is he has a unique opportunity to get his voice out into the media and tell people and take them into his frame of mind, which allows sports fans to connect with him. And I thought about this when Damian Lillard hit the shot. And I thought about it again today when Damian Lillard tweeted out a meme from the internet, from the philosopher and general in China, Sun Tzu. And it's the best and most entertaining trash talk I've ever seen. And he tweeted, he didn't tweet it out, he put it on Instagram. It is the unemotional, reserved, calm, detached warrior who wins, not the hothead seeking vengeance, and not the ambitious seeker of fortune. The greatest trash talk I maybe have ever seen. My man went Sun Tzu from the art of war to completely cut Russell Westbrook's legs out from underneath him, as if he hadn't already done that in draining such a difficult three to get to 50 points and be able to kind of speak to a large audience. And I thought about that as I watched Damian Lillard be interviewed. Lillard represents, I think, what we would like to see from NBA athletes. So does Blake Griffin. Guys who are aware that they are fortunate to be in their spot and embrace the opportunity to tell their story, because that's what makes fans connect to them. And I was just thinking, as I watched this series, and I watched parts of at least all 5 games, I really found myself enjoying and rooting for the Portland Trailblazers over the way they carried themselves and the way they played in this game, compared to the Oklahoma City Thunder, who took on much of Russell Westbrook's behavior, right? Russell Westbrook hits a big shot at home. They're down 2-0, and he talks a ton of trash to get to 2-1. Paul George runs down the court and dunks, and it was an amazing response to see Damian Lillard rise up right over Paul George, drain that jumper, and then wave goodbye to the Oklahoma City Thunder. This means Russell Westbrook now is 0-9 in road games since Kevin Durant left for Golden State. He is 4-12 overall, has not won more than 2 games in a playoff series. God damn indeed. Now, if Damian Lillard had just done the rock the baby motion after he drained that 3 in Russell Westbrook's direction, it would have been the greatest trash talk maybe since. Remember back in the day when Randolph Childress crossed over the dude and then did his finger motion like, hey, come here, big guy, and then he drained the 3? That was like 20 years ago. Still the most devastating basketball trash talk I've ever seen. This would have been that. And I think Russell Westbrook would have had 2 options. Fight him, or he would have had to retire because he would have been dead. That's the only thing I would change about this, is if he had, instead of waving goodbye, if he had done the rock the baby. I don't know how Russell Westbrook ever comes back from that. I think he might have to retire the rock the baby, because I think at a minimum, Damian Lillard would own his trash talk move. It wouldn't be his anymore. It would be incredible. It would have been phenomenal to see. But congratulations to the Portland Trailblazers. I'll be rooting for them in their series against either the Denver Nuggets or the San Antonio Spurs. All right, the NHL. The ending in Sharks and the Vegas Golden Knights. I'm not a hockey guy. They made fun of me on the show the other day because I tweeted out, not a huge hockey historian, with the implication being that I was a hockey historian, just not a huge one. We all know that's not true. The Vegas Golden Knights got screwed beyond belief in Game 7. They were up 3-0. They get a 5-minute major. 4 goals scored during the 5-minute major. 5-minute major means that you don't come off the ice after the power play. 4 goals are scored. Then they come back, fight back to tie it up. They go to overtime, and Vegas loses. San Jose wins. Now, credit to San Jose for scoring the 4 goals. They didn't make the call. They didn't set it up. But this is an example of officials getting involved in a story and overreacting. This was, I thought, unfortunate, the way that situation came down, and I think the wrong team won. And ultimately, the NHL blew it. This is a big miss. The NHL is lucky that only a tiny sliver of the population is NHL fans, because if this happened in the NFL, it would have been kind of tantamount almost to the ending of the Saints and the Rams game. It would have been similar to what happens in the NBA when craziness happens. San Jose got extremely lucky that they got a very bad call. They benefited from it tremendously, and as a result, they are advancing when they didn't deserve to advance. I hate to say it. Again, I think it's unfortunate, but it needs to be a story that those 5-minute majors should have been reviewed. A 5-minute major should have to be so egregious to stand up in that scenario. And if you weren't paying attention, Vegas was up 3-0 on the road with about 11 minutes to go. And then they gave up 4 goals to a power play in the 5-minute power play. Credit again to San Jose for having incredible power play perspective. And again, you can also criticize certainly the Las Vegas Golden Knights for not stopping those goals. But still, it's pretty unbelievable. Awful call, unbelievable, disaster, unfortunate for the Sharks. I hate to see it. All right, we got a lot to get to still. Nick Bosa, New York Times article. One of the things that I focus on with this show and with my shows in general and with the writing that I do is bringing to bear how small stories can turn into big stories, and the way that those stories are covered can completely change the narrative of the way these things shake down, all right? Today in the New York Times, there is an article, and I'm going to read directly from it. This is the front page of the New York Times sports section. Yes, I am an old man. I still get the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal delivered to me every single day, okay? So this is intriguing to me, all right? Nick Bosa, who may be the number 2 overall pick. We've talked about him because he deleted a bunch of his tweets that supported Donald Trump. He also deleted his tweet that said Black Panther wasn't that good of a movie and that Beyonce was trash, all right? Those are his opinions on social media. But the way I want to take you through why I think this is an unfair article and how it is evidence of what I believe is very left-wing bias when it comes to players like Nick Bosa. And by the way, before I even dive into this, you know things are out of control when your boy here is hardcore defending Ohio State. That's how out of whack this situation is. The New York Times and the way the media has treated Nick Bosa has got me going balls to the wall defending Nick Bosa on the eve of the draft. All right, this is the front page. It says, upon further review, prospect scrubs accounts. All right, this is an article about Nick Bosa deleting his Donald Trump supportive tweets as well as any tweets that might be considered controversial. Okay? OHIO, boys and girls. If you're a Buckeye fan, this is the day you've been dreaming of. The day that Clay Travis comes in and goes balls to the wall to defend the Ohio State Buckeyes from the unfair media defamation raining down upon one of the stars of your program. For today, I am a Buckeye. All right. Opening sentence about Nick Bosa deleting his Twitter account. All right. Deleting his tweets. Opening sentence. Michael Sam dropped in the 2014 NFL draft compared to most experts' prediction after he came out as gay earlier that year. Okay? The opening sentence about Nick Bosa, which is the headline, this is a story about Nick Bosa deleting his tweets, is somehow Michael Sam dropping in the NFL draft. The lead sentence is not about Nick Bosa at all. Theoretically, if you're writing a story about Nick Bosa deleting his tweets, you would want to start off by saying, hey, the reason this story exists is because Nick Bosa deleted his tweets. Instead, it starts off talking about Michael Sam in the 2014 NFL draft 5 years ago. What remote connection is there between Michael Sam and Joey Bosa? They're both defensive ends, I guess, maybe. One guy got a brother who's one of the greatest defensive ends in the league right now. So that is an amazingly off-kilter, biased opening sentence. Then it moves into Laramie Tunsil dropping in the draft after he was on video in a gas mask smoking weed. All right? So you have gay player who's on video doing something that is illegal in most of the states. And then we go with it takes all the way to the 6th paragraph until we get introduced to Nick Bosa. And then it says, Bosa recently deleted several tweets about political and racial subjects. Asked why he had done so, he told ESPN it was in his interest to scrub his social media accounts because there is a chance I might end up in San Francisco, Bosa said. Again, I'm reading from the New York Times. One tweet called Beyonce's music complete trash. All right? I don't know why he can't think that Beyonce's music is complete trash or why he would feel compelled to have to delete that tweet. It's because people said he was racist for believing that Beyonce was complete trash. Another described Black Panther, a film widely seen as a triumph for pop culture representations of black people. Black Panther is the third best movie the Black Panther has been in the last 18 months. Avengers was infinitely better than the Black Panther. Avengers 2, which I'm going to see Sunday, I am very confident will be much better than the Black Panther. Why can't he say that it is the worst Marvel movie? I think Black Panther is at best an average Marvel movie. If it were the Asian Panther and every other part of this story were the same, it would be really, really mediocre. If the Black Panther was a White Panther, it would be a really, really mediocre movie. It was, given the circumstances, in my opinion, nowhere near as good as the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, nowhere near as good as the Avenger movies, nowhere near as good as the Captain America movies, nowhere near as good as Wonder Woman, which wasn't even a Marvel movie. There are tons of superhero movies that are better. In fact, crazily, I think Wesley Snipes in Blade was better than Black Panther, all right? But he had to delete it because he got called racist for having those opinions. And also, others reportedly expressed support for President Trump. And then it goes into, what do you think it goes into next? Opens with Michael Sam. Then you get into, Colin Kaepernick. And I want to read some of the analysis here about Colin Kaepernick. He called Colin Kaepernick a clown. Of course, that sets off all sorts of alarm bells in the sports media, because if you say anything other than Colin Kaepernick is the modern-day Martin Luther King Jr., you are unbelievably racist and your opinion is unacceptable. Kaepernick, of course, is the former 49ers quarterback who protested structural racism and police brutality. Despite Kaepernick's abilities, he has gone unsigned since he was released. Earlier this year, in the context of Bosa, again, this is just so biased. Again, this is not even an opinion piece. This is supposed to be a straight news article. In the context of Bosa, Kaepernick serves as a useful counterpoint. Kaepernick's off-field politics constituted a distraction. And then it quotes Commissioner Roger Goodell. Colin Kaepernick could say whatever he wanted off the field. No one ever said, I'm not going to sign Colin Kaepernick because of your tweets. No one ever remotely said that Colin Kaepernick's politics were the issue. The issue was Colin Kaepernick was kneeling during the national anthem while in uniform at work. I guarantee you, if the San Francisco 49ers sign Nick Bosa, and on the first game of his career, if he took a knee to protest gay marriage being legal, they would cut his ass so fast you wouldn't even be able to blink. All right? Think about that. Everybody out there who's supposedly arguing Colin Kaepernick is entitled to his First Amendment rights. If Nick Bosa took a knee and said gay marriage should be illegal in this country, do you think there's any chance the San Francisco 49ers would continue to employ him? No way. So if you want to analogize Nick Bosa with Colin Kaepernick, that's the analogy. Nobody has ever said, Colin Kaepernick is unemployable because of what he tweeted. The standard for Colin Kaepernick and Nick Bosa is not remotely the same. The article continues. Like Kaepernick's protest, some of Bosa's tweets were political. Again, his tweets in his private time outside of work are not impermissible. There's anybody who would argue that whatever you do for a living, when you are on your own, you don't have the right to go on Facebook or Twitter or any other social media platform, or go down to the local precinct and advocate, the local polling place and advocate for whoever you want. Nobody would say that. Nobody said LeBron James can't go on the stage with Hillary Clinton. Nobody has said that remotely. Although, remember, when Kevin McHale showed up in the crowd at a Donald Trump rally, a lot of people were like, he can't be employed in the NBA anymore. Just showing up in the crowd. All right? So Nick Bosa is now being compared to Colin Kaepernick as if their actions are the same. Right? This is a clear sleight of hand. It's an unfair article about Nick Bosa that begins by talking about Mike Sam, that then criticizes him for his opinion of Black Panther and Beyonce, for God's sake, then rips him for Donald Trump, and then says, oh, basically, he's the right-wing version of Colin Kaepernick, when in reality, there's absolutely nothing similar about these guys at all, other than the fact that they both have social media accounts. Then you go into this situation. They have to quote this guy, Ashland Johnson. I have no idea who Ashland Johnson is, but this is crazy. The founder of Inclusion Playbook. Imagine what you could do if with your life. And one of the things you would decide to do is to make something called Inclusion Playbook, which, by the way, the New York Times has quoted me once in my career. I got a pretty big audience. I've been quoted one time in a New York Times article. This dude, Ashland Johnson, who founded something called the Inclusion Playbook, says this. He works with leagues and athletes to spread a message of social justice. He said the discrepancy between the treatment of Kaepernick and the current expectation about Bosa's draft stock reflects the different statuses of, on the one hand, a black man who is outspoken about racism, and on the other, a white man who is called the former figure a clown. What's different here is he can erase those tweets. It has nothing to do with his identity. This is reflecting how society works. Oh, sorry, this is a woman. Sorry, Ashland Johnson is actually a woman. He deletes them, it's okay, but when it comes to people's racial identity, their sexual orientation, their gender identity, those are things you can't delete. Nick Bosa and Colin Kaepernick aren't similar. The story here, if you really want to write a story, is that if you're good enough at your job, your politics don't matter. And there's some evidence of that, but not much, because this is just wild. Teams do have a long history of prizing talent above all else. Okay. So who are they going to compare Nick Bosa to now? Jameis Winston was the top overall pick several years ago, despite a range of character issues that included a rape accusation. Nick Bosa's character issue is that he sent tweets supporting the current president of the United States. I read this article this morning and my mind almost exploded. It is perfect evidence of what I wrote about in my book. This is, beyond a shadow of a doubt, left-wing and far left-wing at that, identity politics brought to bear with Nick Bosa as the bad guy because he's a white guy, and Colin Kaepernick and Jameis Winston and Michael Sam as the stars of this play because they rest higher on the identity pyramid victimization scale than Nick Bosa. This is just amazing when you really break it down. Again, front page of the New York Times sports section today, Nick Bosa compared to Jameis Winston, compared to Michael Sam, and compared to Colin Kaepernick, despite the fact that there is absolutely nothing that is similar to them at all. And this is key, this is a news story. This is not even an opinion piece. If somebody wants to argue that Nick Bosa is being treated differently than Colin Kaepernick, you can write that column, and somebody probably will. And it won't be very smart, and it will be laden with racism, and it will be awful. And social justice warriors on Twitter will grab it, and they will trumpet it, and they will praise it to the high heavens. But ultimately, when you break this down, this is not even an opinion piece. This is supposed to be a quote-unquote straight news piece. And again, if you like this, we're going to clip this section of the show, and we will share it on social media. And I want you to share it with your friends who might say, oh, Clay Travis is crazy. No, this is what goes on all the time. This is how narratives get set of Nick Bosa as the equivalent of Colin Kaepernick. And the reason why he's able to do what he does is because he's white, and Kaepernick's not able to do what he does because he's black. That's the way this narrative will get spun. And the New York Times and places like the New York Times are sophisticated. They know what they're doing. They're making a calculated decision to be dishonest from a news perspective And it's happening here, and it is wild. So pay attention to that. It's so wild that it's got me out here saying, OHIO, go Buckeyes. I can't believe what I'm doing. I'm defending an Ohio State Buckeye player. Tennessee, my state, has voted to legalize sports gambling in the state house. They are then going to move on and do it probably in the Senate. I'm told the governor will sign it, and online sports gambling will be legal in my state. I know it's close to being legal if the governor would sign it in Iowa. It's spreading rapidly around the country. I want to say this. I sat and I watched and I listened to the debate surrounding this vote in the state of Tennessee. And what I love about issues like these is they aren't divisive by party. People can come across the aisle, be bipartisan, look and make smart strategic decisions and say, this is already going on in our state. Let's take it out of the black market. Let's take it out of the netherworld, and let's tax it and regulate it, and let's make sports gambling as easy to do as you can in anywhere in the country. Tennessee is being incredibly progressive here. They are making the decision, which I think is outstanding, to allow sports gambling online, which is where 80% of the time money has been spent in New Jersey. Most people want to be able to pull out their phones, and they want to be able to bet on a sporting event while it's going on, before it happens or whatever else. Every state's going to have the right to make their decision, but I just want to give the state of Tennessee and its legislature a lot of credit to the legislators in that legislature who made the decision to make what I think is a smart, progressive decision with the direction in which the country is going, to tax it and make it legal in the state of Tennessee. I hope the governor will sign it soon, and the state Senate will pass it. I would say the same thing about Iowa. I hope the Republican governor of Iowa would sign this. I don't see this as a Republican or a Democratic issue. I think this is absolutely fantastic. Final thing. I am doing a live show tomorrow from 6 to 7 p.m. As if I don't have enough jobs. I'm doing my radio in the morning. I'll be downtown in Nashville running around all day. I'm doing a live show from 6 to 7 p.m. Central Time in Nashville in the outskirts of Nissan Stadium. For anybody who's going to be downtown, they're saying there might be 500,000 people downtown. If you have kids, if you're going to be busy, I am doing a live show for the hour before the draft for Fox Sports Radio. It'll be on nationwide, but everybody can come watch. After me, Jay Glazer, Joel Klatt, and Rob Stone will all be there doing their own show. 6 to 7, I'm doing my morning show and an evening show, in addition to the television show, which I'll be on, by the way, in 30 minutes on FS1. And I would encourage all of you who are going to be in town for Nashville to check it out. I would also encourage you to check out our new bar. I'm a small part, not a Jay-Z small part, but a small part in the grand scheme of things, of the biggest and best new bar to be opening in downtown Nashville, 411 Broadway. Broadway is going to be shut down for the NFL draft tomorrow. 411 Broadway between 4th and 5th Avenue is our new bar. It's called the Downtown Sporting Club. It opens tomorrow. I'm telling you, it is fantastic. This is going to be really, really cool. I'm excited to be a part of it. I've never been involved in a bar, restaurant, hotel concept before. It's a huge building, biggest rooftop on Broadway in downtown Nashville. One of the biggest buildings, I think 44,000 square feet. The Downtown Sporting Club is officially open. I get asked all the time, what bar should I go to? It's going to be a different feel. It's very cool. It opens tomorrow. I just tweeted out a tour of the new bar that was done by the Tennessean, the local Nashville newspaper. We do not have live music. We're the only place that does not have live music. It's got an awesome sports bar on the second floor. It's got an awesome rooftop deck. It is an awesome, incredible place to come hang out. We also have the second floor, 20 hotel rooms on it, which are going to kill. The Goldberg brothers I'm partnering with. If you know Nashville, they are the most successful guys when it comes to developing bars and restaurants anywhere in the city. They got a ton of them already up and running. They know what they're doing. It's going to be an awesome vibe. Very cool place. And I think people are going to absolutely love it. These guys are geniuses, Max and Ben, and they have done an incredible job building it. No, the hotel rooms are not by the hour. They're actually really awesome. You can get a full-length glass window looking out over Broadway. I walked through all the rooms. They are fantastic. So, it's going to be fun. I will be there. It should be really cool. I appreciate all of you It's going to be a lot of fun. 411 Broadway if you're going to be downtown. I'll be doing a live show from 6 to 7 outside of Nissan Stadium, that side of the river. And then it should be really fun. Excited for the draft tomorrow. Love all of you. My name is Clay Travis. Appreciate all the time you spend hanging out with me in Outkick-related events. We're going to be doing television now in 25 minutes on FS1, giving you some gambling picks. This is Outkick the Coverage. My name is Clay Travis. Thanks for hanging with me on Outkick the Show. See y'all.